Welcome everyone to our Legacy webinar today. My name is Jenny Griffin, and I'm part of the Idaho Lives project with the State Department of Education. And we are focused on youth suicide prevention, and we're glad that you could be here with us today. We will be recording this session, and we're excited for you to be here. Feel free to turn your cameras on so that we feel like we can see your faces and know that you're there with us, and join in with us.
Jenny, people are okay waiting another minute or two since school is just getting over for the day.
Okay.
And I was wondering if Lynette, if you're the same, if you are L. Wade on the sign up sheet. I can check back in about that too. Got it. I see that in the chat, Lynette. Thank you.
So we'll start out with some introductions here really quick. I'm Jenny Griffin, and I am the East Idaho Regional Coordinator. I'm located in Idaho Falls. And welcome, we're glad to have you here with us. Patrick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Patrick Connor. I'm in Boise, and I'm the Regional Coordinator for Southwestern Idaho, and very excited to be with you all today. And next up, Nancy.
Hi, everybody. Nancy Schmidt. I am the Northern Area Regional Coordinator for the Idaho Lives Project. So I'm up here in Panhandle Health District 1 and 2. Nice to see you today.
Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jenny. I was trying to, but I don't know if I muted myself or what. But anyway, I'm Hannah Crumrine. I am the Youth Suicide Prevention Coordinator for the Department of Education, and I support all of our outreach efforts with the Idaho Lives Project. I think that leaves Judy from our team.
Hello, and it's so fun to see faces that I recognize. I am the program specialist for the Idaho Lives Project. I've seen a lot of you. Thank you for being here still. Thanks all of you for being here.
So we're going to do just a real quick introduction of everybody that's on this webinar today. I'll call your name, and if you want to just tell us what school you're from, and then tell us something fun that you did this summer. We'll start with Lynette.
Hello, I'm Lynette. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm from Timberlake Middle School in northern Idaho. And my little dachshund and I walked about 2 miles every day.
That's awesome. Thank you. Ann Middlebrooks.
Hi, my name is Melissa Middlebrooks. I'm a new counselor here at Compass Public Charter School in Meridian, Idaho, and I'm support the K through 8th grades, mostly with an emphasis on the middle school. And wanted to let you know that Patricia was planning on joining us, but she had to have a quick appointment that prevented her from being able to make it. So I'm brand new to SOS and all of this. So I look forward to, the fun thing from this summer is we're moving back from Germany to the States, and it's really not that much fun, but glad to be back.
Nice. Thank you. Patrick. Not our Patrick, the other Patrick.
Okay, I think, can people hear me now?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm Patrick Precht, Patrick Connor. We went over this like a year ago or 2 years ago or something, I think. You know, we've been here, but so I guess, I'm at Caldwell High School, one of the three here at Caldwell High School. And Leah Morono is actually in my office with me too. I'm not sure if hers was working.
Hello, I couldn't get mine to work either.
And then Heather Valentine is their other, but I'll let her introduce herself. So something fun I did. I started playing competitive golf this summer. I guess I got roped into a men's league at Purple Sage Golf Course, and that's been a riot. Frustrating and infuriating mostly, but fun. Yeah.
Great. And can we get the other gal that's there with you, Patrick, to introduce herself?
Hi. So what am I supposed to be saying? Something fun I did?
Yes, and what school you're with, obviously with Patrick.
Okay,
And your
I'm
name.
at Caldwell High School, and something fun I did is I got to have my grandchildren come to spend a month with me, each of them, well, a couple of the older ones. First time since pre-COVID, so it was good to have them.
Cool.
That is cool.
Hi, Judy. I see you there.
Hi, I was gonna say hi, Leah.
Okay, Heather Valentine.
Hi, I'm Heather Valentine. I'm a new counselor here at Caldwell High School. I don't really know that I did much this summer, but I did get to go camping, I guess. So that was nice. We got to get away and go to the lake for about a week. So that was really nice.
Great. Katie Funderburg.
Hello. I don't know. I can't figure out how to get my screen on where my camera is. Sorry. So I'm at Mountain View High School and kind of taking over the lead position from Courtney. And something interesting or fun I did this summer. I don't know. We moved into our house about a year ago and decided during 180,000 degree temperatures, we're going to finish up the attic space for storage. So that was kind of fun.
Great. Oh, nice and hot this summer.
Yeah, definitely.
Dara Sears.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dara. I'm over at Pathways Middle School in West Ada. And this summer, I got to watch my 4-year-old grow about like 13 sizes, I'm pretty sure. So that's all we did was feed him and keep him busy. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Jill Stewart.
Hi, I'm at Eagle Academy in West Ada as well. And my husband and I went up north, drove up to North Idaho and did the Hiawatha Trail on the bikes, and it was a lot of fun.
Great, thank you, Jill. Krista Christensen.
Hi, guys. I am at Blackfoot Charter Middle School in Southeast Idaho. Something fun this summer. I got to do a fair amount of camping and fishing, so that's what I enjoy.
Nice, thank you. Norma Martinez.
Hello, I don't know if you can hear me, but I don't have a camera on this computer that I'm on.
We can hear you.
Okay, all right. Well, I am from Emmett High School. I'm the 9th and 11th grade counselor. It sounds like this program has already been implemented here, kind of taking it over for the previous counselor who was here wanting to learn more about sources of strength. Something that I did this summer was I hiked to Goat Lake here in Idaho for the first time ever. And it was definitely worth it. All those miles and hours, it was definitely worth it.
That's great. Thank you, Norma. And Shauna Minhire.
Hi, guys. I don't think I did anything interesting this summer. I'm usually very, very busy and going 100 miles an hour, and I didn't do that. So I really took advantage and chilled and just kind of hung out, which was nice.
Great, thank you.
Oh, I'm also at Victory Middle School, and this is year 4 of Sources of Strength, 3, I can't remember. Last year doesn't count.
Because of COVID. Leah, welcome. We're doing a simple introduction. If you want to just tell what school you're from and something you did fun this summer.
Oh, I just did my introduction in Patrick's office, but I got it on my computer now. So
Oh,
came back
I
into
can
mine.
see now. Perfect. Great. Thank you. So Patrick, can you flip to our next slide, please? Great. So here's what we're going to discuss today during this webinar. We're going to talk a little bit about the Idaho Lives Project overview, how we do data and collection and surveys, some changes on the wheel that have come from Sources of Strength, and also some discussion and questions at the end of this. If you have any questions, if you want to throw it into chat, and we can go ahead and answer those questions as we go along today. So we are your regional coordinators. We introduced ourselves, and that just is a little map to be able to show you kind of where we're located in the state. And then this next slide is our team, those who do the federal side of the grants and the state side. And Hannah is the great gal that she introduced herself here earlier, and she takes care of all of our fun stuff having to do with licensure and data that we have to do for our grants. And then Nicole is the one who will be doing any scheduling that you might have for your schools. And then the rest of the team, they just help support in different aspects with the Idaho Lives Project. So this is a little bit of what the Idaho Lives Project helps with. We help with model school policy, gatekeeper trainings, post-vention support, and also resources and research. We are a statewide resource with anything having to do with suicide prevention and specifically with youth suicide prevention. We are in cohort 11 this year, and here are the number of schools in each region to date. We are happy to connect you with schools that have implemented Sources in your region, as they can help you. Sources of Strength has a large cadre of schools throughout the US, Canada, and Australia. So if you run into barriers, guaranteed there's a school somewhere in Idaho that's been through that before and can help you with any of their successes. And they can help pass that on to you. So reach out to your regional coordinator and we can help connect you with those other schools in your area. And now I'll turn over some time to Hannah Crumrine, who will talk about the granting, funding, and data information.
Thanks, Jenny. So just as a reminder, I know some of you, sounds like there's a couple of new folks, but in years 1 and 2 of program implementation as part of the original grant that your schools received, the Idaho Lives Project paid for your license and all the campaign materials. And then after that, starting in year 3 as a legacy school, you're expected to relicense your program every year. That cost is $500 and it's paid directly to the Sources of Strength national team. And then they let us know who has or who hasn't relicensed their program each year. A lot of schools actually don't end up doing this, but if you want a strong program and one that meets fidelity, it's something you should be doing every year. mostly because you get access to all the copywritten materials, plus access to a lot of online information that's regularly updated, and it reflects new or improved resources like the new AA Field Guide. We're not sure how many of our legacy schools have that, but it's a really great resource. And it's a really valuable investment for your team. This year, though, we are excited to be able to offer a grant, a relicensure grant, that will cover the cost of this fee for 1 year, and we have the capacity to provide that for up to 30 schools. So right there is a QR code you can scan on your phone if you want that, want to access that application. And I think somebody is also going to throw it into the chat. So if you receive the grant, you'll also get 2 new adult advisor field guides, 100 peer leader guides, and then a $100 Sources gift card to use at their online store to buy. We recommend that you buy swag, fun stuff for your school and for your team, and then let us help you with additional campaign materials. In exchange, we ask that you participate in our data collection efforts throughout the year and also submit a copy of your district's suicide prevention policy. Thanks, Patrick. We also have funding available specifically for peer leader campaigns and activities. And this is something that's only available to legacy schools. So your school can apply to receive up to $500 each year to support your campaign. So before you fill out this application, we ask that you meet with your peer leaders to plan the campaign and make sure that they're leading the charge and that they're on board and that they're really represented in the application. So this grant is available to us from a former suicide prevention group that donated a fairly large sum of money to us, and it will be available each year until we use up that donation. Preference is given to schools that haven't received the grant before, but we still have a lot of funding left, so we would definitely encourage you and your peer leaders to apply for the grant this year. Then if you need additional funding to support your program, maybe you're getting a booster training and you need substitutes for the day, or you just have other funds that you could use to support your program, contact your regional coordinator because we maintain a statewide and a regional list of potential funding sources that you and your peer leaders could access or tap into if you needed additional funding. That's all I have about funding. Are there any questions before we move over to data?
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or just put it in chat. One of us will answer.
Okay, well, I don't see any questions now. So data. So we collect monthly and yearly data as required by our state and federal funders. And again, when you originally received the grant, you were required to submit data in the first 2 years of implementation. But as you can imagine, after those first 2 years, we don't get a lot of participation from legacy schools. And that's something that we'd really, really like to change because it's so invaluable to our program and to the state as far as outreach and what that looks like and what services we're providing to schools and what we're learning about ideation and deaths within schools. So we do a monthly survey. That's what you see on this screen here. It's kind of our biggest ask because we do it monthly from September through April. It's called the Suicide Ideation Referral Form. We call it the SURF for short. So what we do is on October 1st, your sources or your AA lead always receives an invitation to participate in the survey, and we're collecting data for the month of September. And then you have 15 days to submit it, and that 15 days is dictated by when some of our federal reports are due. So if you want to flip to the next slide, Patrick, these are the questions that we ask in the SURF survey. Hopefully your counselors are already tracking most of this information, which would make it easy for you to share with us. There are 13 questions that help us learn more about what's available to students and what follow-up looks like. Were students screened? Did they get mental health care and things like that? And then if you were to report a death or an attempt, we could also follow up with specific resources for your school. So this is really, really important information. And I know it looks like it's hard to read that slide. There's a lot of questions on there, but we can also email those questions to you. if you'd like to see them specifically and be sure you're tracking those specific questions. You can flip that, Patrick, thanks. So at the end of the year, we collect 4 surveys, and depending on how fast we can get our act together, you'll get an email from me in late April or early May asking you to participate in these surveys. There's one survey just for your peer leaders who are involved in the program. There's one survey for your entire school staff, not just your adult advisors, and that asks about changes in school climate and culture as a result of sources. And then there are 2 additional surveys that are just for your lead AA to complete. The team status report tracks the activities you did over the year and what impact you had on your school. And there's just a couple of questions in there that help us better support you and your individual needs. And then the last one you'll see on there is the team assessment. That's actually a tool created by the National Sources of Strength team, and they give that to all the schools they're working with, and that helps you gauge the overall health and quality of your program. And also note on there, if you just a reminder, I'll say it again, that if you receive the relicensure grant, you will be required to submit data as part of that. And then if we flip to the next slide, that's just a closer look at the team assessment. It's in the new AA field guide on pages 105 and 106. If you don't have the hard copy of that, you should be able to log in and get it electronically. There are 12 assessment areas, and we highly recommend that you review them now and again throughout the year so you can see what program fidelity looks like. So if you look at this at the beginning of the year, it can really provide you with a roadmap for a very robust program. So don't just wait until May to reflect back on what your team could have been doing or should have been doing. And I just throw this in here. I know regional coordinators are going to cover it when they talk about sources, but our main goal is to support you so that your program is robust and carried out to fidelity, because that's when you really see a difference in your entire student body, and that's what we want. So again, we would strongly encourage you to look at this source of self-evaluation, and like I said, it provides a great roadmap for where you should be headed. Other than that, are there questions about data collection? Okay. If not now, maybe at the end of the webinar. Otherwise, I will turn it over to Nancy to talk about sources of strength.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, that's a really good point that you made towards the end there. And I want to welcome everybody and just say, I hope you have an awesome year this year. I know last year was tough, and this year we're going to rock it, knock it out of the ballpark. So good luck this year. As you know, and I don't want to preach to the choir, Sources of Strength is evidence-based, peer-to-peer ongoing wellness program. And it really does meet all the social and emotional needs of your student. It reduces all kinds of risky behaviors. Substance abuse, bullying, but really suicide prevention is its main focus. So I just, their mission and their vision, I'll let you read that. Just know that it's focused really broadly. So it does reduce all kinds of risky behaviors. Here's more detail about the Sources of Strength, and it's evidence proven to do these things. Sources has gone through some of the most stringent types of evaluation to prove its effectiveness. And it breaks down those codes of silence. I think that's the most important thing, which kids think that they're going to keep their emotional stuff to themselves. We really just want their friends and their relationships to know that it's important to reach out to trusted adults. And so the peers are there to guide their friends to seeking help. Really, that's their role. They're not junior psychologists. And we go through all this when we do the AA training. They're being modeled by their peers, and the peers are teaching their friends to seek help and to go to their strengths. So again, I don't want to preach to the choir because you guys all know this, but it's an upstream program. A lot of suicide prevention programs or interventions. This is upstream. We want to get kids before they're suicidal to begin with. So evidence proven has been through rigorous studies to show that it works, and it's efficacious when we continue it from year to year to year and continue that culture change in your schools. So how do you put your team together, or how do you add to your team? Or one of the things I want to mention here too, if you're new and you have not been through an AA training yourself, it is imperative that you do that you go through the full AA training, and we can do that virtually for you. Because some of the schools are going to be virtual this year, and we can invite you to that. We can talk about that. If you're one of those people, please reach out to your regional coordinator, let us know, and we'll get you set up somehow. One of the things that we do from the get-go is we come into the schools and we do a gatekeeper training for your entire staff. And the reason why we do that is because one of the main proponents of sources of strength is to help those kids connect to a trusted adult and understand that that's what they're doing. They're connecting their friends that may be struggling to a trusted adult. So we want the trusted adults to certainly know what to do, right? If they have that. So that's why we provide the gatekeeper training. And the gatekeeper training really is for everybody in your school, from the custodian to the lunch ladies, to the administrators that are the gatekeepers at the front desk. When the kids walk in, they sometimes know more about your kids than the teachers might. So so we do the gatekeeper training. We did that. Again, if your school has not had a gatekeeper training in several years, let us know. We'll see what we can do to get that done for you at some point. We're doing some of them virtually, which it's a 2.5-hour training, but we can talk about that again with you guys one-on-one. Again, your team roles, your adult advisors should reflect the diversity of your school as best you can to make your AAs as diverse as possible to what your school looks like. They should have great connectivity and rapport with your students. The most important thing is that they have a positive attitude, right? If we're putting this on somebody that already has a plate full and they're already feeling overwhelmed, maybe that's not your best AA this year. Feel free to add AAs to your teams. Again, if you're going to do that, it's essential that they go through some sort of training so that they know what we're doing. And we want the AAs to have somebody that say, okay, if something didn't work, okay, no big deal. Let's just get back on the horse and try this. Somebody that's not going to get mired in the confusion and get down if something doesn't work out well. Your peer leaders are also meant to be diverse, and they've got to be members who have sway within their social network. Really important. These aren't all just the leaders of your schools, not just the athletes of your schools, not the kids that are involved in everything already. These are the kids that just have sway in their social network, whatever that social network is for them. So think really, really broadly about the students that you include as your peer leaders. We want the whole school climate to be involved, the whole culture to be involved in this program. Because a kid in their social network that has influence in that social network will take that into the bigger picture of the school as a whole. Again, the connectivity piece cannot be stated enough. The skill sets that are needed for an AA are listed in your manuals. By the way, if you're an older school and been with us for a while, haven't received a new training manual, field guide, they've updated some things, a lot more user-friendly information in these field guides, and we can talk about that a little bit later too, but they're $10, I believe, from the Sources website. Check out the website because they have lots of stuff to offer you. We ask that you, as a sort of a rule of thumb, if your school is very small, we don't want more than 10 adult advisors or one adult advisor per 10 students. It gets overwhelming. So we say, 10, no, if you're a huge school, we don't want, more than 10 adult advisors. We want this to be peer driven, and we want to hear their voices. You're there to lead them, but we'd rather, have more of a balance between having kids share some of their personal stories with us and not being adult driven. Registering your new AAs, if you haven't done this already, you can text Sources to 64600 on your phone, or you can go to the website, the Sources website. Have your whole school use the same name for your registration. And you can put, they're going to ask you for the trainer's name, and you can put Judy Gabbard down as your trainer, but your whole school has to have the same name. So let's say you're from middle school. So then just have all your registered AAs put their name down as middle school and not, you know, M school or something else. They all need to be the same so they can make sure that you're getting the same information from sources for all of you. If that's confusing, just ask and we'll walk you through that. Again, here's your AA, the field guide. This is your kind of like your Bible. This is going to have lots of things in there for you guys to work on. Reminders of things that maybe you forgot in the years of doing this, and just, you know, some new incentive type things in there to help ease your campaigns. Campaigns are all done for you. Of course, we want your own school's peers to have some influence and sway as to what they want to do and what's best for your school. So you can tailor this to meet the needs of your school. That is the best way that it works. The campaigns are all pretty much spelled out for you.
All right. So I am taking over now, and we'll be talking about peer leaders. First, just to piggyback on what Nancy said, we know last year was difficult for everyone, especially schools and their sources teams, but this year really looking to rock them. So thank you all for being here, and really looking forward to things this year. So selecting peer leaders. You want to make sure that you have your adult advisor team established before you select your peer leaders. And then once you do, we recommend that the adult advisors watch that sources implementation overview, which is included on the website of Sources of Strength, and it's on these slides, which we will get to you. It's about 60 minutes in length, but as you can see there, there's a start and stop time if you just want to watch the short piece about selecting your peer leaders. When it comes to your peer leaders, Sources of Strength says that you should have between 6 and 12% of your entire student body. And we know that this can be very difficult for smaller schools, especially. But we'll work with each individual school to, you know, establish a number that will work well for the peer leaders. If, you know, a bigger school, we do recommend that somewhere between 20 and 60, but no more than that. If we're going virtually, we say no more than 30. And the reason for these numbers is so that when we're doing the training, we have an opportunity to hear everyone's voice, or as many as possible, be able to interact. But again, we will work with schools individually to get that number. So ensuring diversity. Nancy had mentioned this a couple of times, but when it does come to selecting your peer team, what is really, truly important and vital is that diversity. You want to make sure that you're looking for those who are natural leaders, and they're natural leaders within their diverse group, their clique, their club, their social network, whatever it might be. They have influence, they have voice with that group. Adults should nominate those. And again, what's most important is that diversity. We want peers to represent, again, every group, from the leadership team and the high achievers to those who wouldn't be termed the high achievers, or those who are not most engaged. But ultimately, what you get when you get a member or two from each of those groups is a great variety and mixture of backgrounds and voices, which is what makes Sources so successful. The peers are not meant to be just the kid that everyone goes to with their emotional problems, because quite often that student has their own emotional problems. And so then what you end up with is a group of at-risk students. So we do want some of them, but we want students of, again, from every group, and you know, from every clique, every arm of the school. And again, that's what makes Sources work within the school. That's what makes it so successful. You end up with a diverse list of kids who would not have come together on normal circumstances. And so when them going out to the school, they then invite everyone to be a part of that community. And so again, it's really important to have that diversity. Nomination forms. So once you have your adult advisor team, you can print these nomination forms out, give them to all the adult advisors. They can then fill these out with their own nominations, or they can go to other faculty members and get their input for a student who might fit the bill of being a peer leader. Also, there's permission forms. So once a student has been nominated, you give that student then a permission form. And every student who's going to be a part of the peer leader team must have the permission form signed by their parents, and they themselves sign that they're going to be a part of the team. And it also releases the ability to take pictures and share that on our own social media with the Idaho Lives Project, but also with the Sources national team. All right, changes to the wheel. So the Sources of Strength wheel has changed. For those of you who have been in the program for a little while, you may remember that there used to be physical or medical access in between spirituality and mental health. And now that's changed to physical health. And when we do the training, we combine these two together. They take up two individual slices of the wheel, but we talk about them as health, and emphasizing that idea that physical health and sustaining that physical health is just as important and vital as an individual's mental health. And so when you have to go out and get help for your physical health, for a broken bone or something, it's just as important that you go out and receive the help that you might need for your mental health. So that's a change to the wheel that you'll see in the different resources and documents. So a Sources campaign. A Sources campaign, these really are the ways that your peer leader team and your Sources team gets the message out to the entire school. And as Nancy had mentioned, so many of these are spelled out by Sources of Strength. So the campaign defined, this again is how your peer leaders will go about creating their messages of hope, help, and strength, and delivering those messages to the entire school. The PLs themselves are not meant to be an exclusive club, but rather they are ambassadors to the entire school. And when they put these campaigns together, it's really important to not just think of them as, happy stickers on lockers, but rather that they have purpose. And the real purpose of the campaigns is to engage all the members of the community in that campaign and with those messages. So for instance, the peer leaders might go into individual classrooms and they would present the wheel or portions of the wheel. And what they would do is they would ask each student within that classroom to, let's say the piece of the wheel is trusted adult. And every student would then think about a trusted adult in their life, name that trusted adult, so that then they become engaged. And then in that way, the entire school community is working on that campaign and with that idea. These are the campaigns that have been created by Sources of Strength. They're available on the Sources of Strength website. They're also in your field guide. They're written out, they're templated. You can print these off directly. You can fill in the blanks for your school. Getting the word out and trusted adults are two very popular ones. And also getting the word out is really helpful this year, coming back from COVID where we weren't able to do a whole lot. Getting the word out really lets the school know who those peer leaders are and who those adult advisors are, which is really important for everyone in the school to know who those individuals are that they can go to if they are feeling an emotional crisis or they need some help. Campaign ideas can be found everywhere. The Sources of Strength website, as well as our own website, has images of different campaigns that have been done in our state, around the country, and around the world. If you go to the Sources website, you'll see example after example after example. One very popular one is the tree mural, which will stay up in the hallway for the entire year and really follows the season. So it might start off with trusted adults in the fall, and then as the leaves change into fall, winter, the campaign changes, and so then the image would change a little bit all the way into spring. So that's a great idea. Some other campaign ideas. One school did an entire Sources of Strength week, and along with that, they had a trusted adult wall. And there is research to show that this works. That when students are walking down the hall and they see that their friend put up a sticky note that had their trusted adult listed, that they'll stop and they'll think about it. Oh, well, gosh, Timmy has, Coach Smith that he goes to, and who do I go to? Maybe I can go to Coach Smith, or, I can go to someone else. So there is research to show that it does work. And even though it seems like, something very small, it has great impact upon the entire school and student body. And now I'll turn it back over to Nancy to discuss the first meeting of the year.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. So your fall kickoff is really important, how you're going to get your kids back together. And there's a meeting that has been designed by Sources team that's in the new field guide, that whether or not your team has met consistently over the years, or you've had to pause for some time because of COVID last year, this agenda is going to really welcome your team back for fall and start to build a foundation again for this school year. It's in the field guide. If you don't have a field guide, please reach out to your regional coordinator. We'd be happy to send you that document. Just so you know, there's always, we emphasize this when we do the trainings. Your meeting should always include these 3 components: 1 part fun, 1 part sharing, and 1 part planning. Okay, you want to do some planning, but don't forget the fun part and don't forget the sharing part, because those are key in your meeting times. There's some these are ideas for campaigns. They're everywhere for you. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can borrow from what other schools have done. That's why we kind of had this meeting today was for more of the southern and eastern regions. We have another webinar next week. If any of your AAs have missed it, they can certainly come to the webinar next week, more for the northern schools since they just started today. You can borrow from whatever the field guide has, or with your peer leaders, you know, they want to have their own little bent on things. Absolutely. Let them run with it. Remember that the campaigns are always about hope, help, and strength, never sad, shock, and trauma. Okay, we want to keep them engaged with other students, so they have to be engaging. There's additional materials I talked to you about a little bit earlier, replacement materials if you need thank you cards, or the gratitude challenge. There's all kinds of real quick, easy things. They keep their prices fairly low for most things. If you want some incentive prizes for your students, and you have things like t-shirts and bracelets and frisbees and basketballs, you can find all that on the Sources website as well. The additional resources. Judy, did you want to talk a little bit about some additional post-vention resources?
There we go. Yes, if you have any kind, if you have a death of any kind, excuse me, you know that especially suicide is a different kind of death, and it'll affect your school differently than even an accident or a death by disease or cancer, something like that. But we're here for you, and we're here to help your Sources team do a few activities to help the rest of the student body. And I know Jill's school used her team 1 year after the death of a student, and the kids were very successful in reminding everybody to use their strengths. So, but we're here for you. If you should have a death, please call Hannah. The number is there, and we can throw that number into chat if you don't mind, Jenny. And if you call her, then she verifies the death with the school, or make sure that we can act on it, make sure we know if it's a suicide or an accident, so that we send you materials that reflect that kind of death. And then we'll give you some ideas about how to help everybody in your school, what kind of templates we have online. We have a whole bunch of post-vention guidelines online. The templates are already there, so you just can look at the parent letter, look at the classroom teacher statements, so that you have everybody on board really quickly and don't have to do a whole lot of work when it's such a tough time for everybody. We also will send out some packets if it's a death by suicide for you to give to the family, because those packets contain really good materials to help the grieving family get through. Hannah or anybody else want to add anything else to that? Basically, we're here for you.
I'm sorry, Jenny, did you have anything to add? You were going to take some of that piece too.
No, Jenny did a great job. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jenny. That's right. I wasn't going to speak today, and that's why I was totally out of it.
That was my bad.
I would just add, I don't think you said this, Judy, but I would add that if you do contact us, then I can also notify the other programs and divisions at the Department of Education, which is sometimes nice for them to know if you have other people in the school working on deadlines or things like that. So just letting the department-wide letting us know we could support your school in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Hannah.
We also have some very useful websites that you can go to that have additional ideas and understanding. Obviously, the Idaho Suicide Prevention Program has some great resources. The Idaho Suicide Prevention Hotline. You do not have to be in crisis to use this number. This is a number that you can call and get information or know how to talk to a friend, for students to be able to know how to talk to maybe a family member or a friend. Obviously, the Sources of Strength website, and then the Sources of Strength newsletter that you can sign up by texting sources to 64600. And also, you can follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. We post fun ideas that other schools are doing, or information regarding grants or webinars that are coming up. So if you want to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, we'd encourage you to do so. So thank you for your attention. We're going to open it up for any questions that you might have or some discussions. If you have any comments on this webinar or things that are working well for you in your school.
Hi, this is Shauna. And can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things, so our first year was really strong. Second year, halfway through, we got shut down because of COVID. Last year, we started second semester. And I only met with the 8th graders, and there's about 8 of them in that. And I, just for simplicity's sake, we still managed to do some pretty cool things. And in some ways it was a lot easier just to have a few kids. My struggle that I'm finding is, even though we have lots of adults who want to support the program, it's finding the time to have them be part of things in a useful way, because everybody is stretched so thin. Any suggestions on how to get the other adult advisors an active role in doing the campaigns?
You know what? Some of the other people on here may have some great ideas for you, Shauna, and then we'll jump in. Who would like to take that on as a member here? Anybody have some ideas for Shauna? Okay, well, we can address that because we get that question a lot, and it really is tough. And bless you for all for making it through last year. It had to be just so challenging, and we know there was extra pressure on everybody in schools, and so we're really grateful for what you could do. One of the things that might be helpful is to divide up your adult advisor team a little bit. Figure out what you want to do for the year, what kind of campaigns, and say, hey, Joe and Mary and Jonathan really want to work on videotaping. Maybe they want to videotape people saying what they're thankful for. And there's a couple of other people that want to put up leaves and have kids write on there what they're thankful for. And another team wants to make sure they put that into a nice tree on a bulletin board or something. So you have kind of divide up your team a little bit, if that helps. And then the person who is the teacher or the AA who can't make it maybe to meetings can say, hey, just on this one project, can you meet with me next Tuesday at lunch? Or can you, I have you in class on next Monday, 2 of you. Can you talk to me during the time we're working on our assignment for about 5 minutes, and we can maybe work out what you're going to be doing on that activity. So if they have some of the kids in class, they might use some of that time, just a couple of minutes. I used to do that I was a sophomore class advisor, and I always had my kids work on things a little bit in class when I could. So something like that might help. Do you think that would help, Shauna?
I think it's definitely worth a shot. Yeah, definitely worth a shot. We'll try whatever we can. Yeah.
And ask them what they think will work for them. How do they want to do this? Because they want to be involved. What will work for them? How can they be involved when they're so busy? And sometimes that is the issue. Sometimes we have adult advisors who are doing everything. And maybe you need to bring in a couple more who are not so busy. Maybe they're not coaching, or maybe they have only one prep so that they get all their lessons done much more quickly, that kind of thing. And I know teachers are all busy, but just ask them what might work for them. And then you might bring in some new people also. And we'll
Yeah.
train them. I'll train them.
Yeah, yeah. We'll brainstorm some ideas. Thank you. I appreciate that guidance, Judy.
Well,
You know,
thank you.
another
We know
idea
you're doing a
might-
great job. You know, a great job. We love you. What you do. Go
Another
ahead,
idea-
Nancy.
Another idea might be to, think about the people that are involved with the school that might not be teachers, maybe a parent that's been involved, that is interested in helping in some way, shape or form, that has, maybe she's the parent that kids go over their house after school, a bunch of them. And, think outside the box a little bit.
Thank you, Nancy.
Some other questions or comments or ideas for us? We love your ideas. Hey, we take all of your ideas and pass them around. You should know that. We love our sources schools.
So Norma's put a question in the chat. Since Sources of Strength was implemented previously in the high school, would she just need to register through the website to become an adult advisor? Do you want to answer that, Judy?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that because I've been talking to her.
Okay.
She is with the, and by the way, Emmett Middle School was an awesome Sources of Strength school too. I know that you've had some changes in personnel there, but you are a Sources of Strength school yourself. But John Laverne is coming from the high school, and we can help you get registered. Patrick can help you get registered if you'd like. And then you and John can kind of put your heads together and decide what you would like to do and get your first campaign started, maybe, because he was great at Emmett High. Emmett High was in our second year, I think. And so they've been around for a long time. So he'll have some ideas for you. I would really recommend that anybody who is new or on your team, anybody new on your team, we're going to put an adult advisor training together virtually so that we can train all the new adult advisors in the state. Or if we have one in person in your area, we can certainly let them know, and maybe they can take a day and come to that so that they can get some ideas. So that's how if you keep in touch with your regional coordinator, we can cover some of the training for new AAs. And I know it's hard to get away, especially if you are in a school that's having some COVID issues. It's going to be really hard to get away, but we're going to put one together virtually for you. And you can go online and register now. We'll get Patrick to send you that registration information.
Thank you.
Question is, will the virtual adult advisor be offered after school? We have to talk about that, but because it's not a required AA, I think we'll have to probably offer half of it one day after school and half of it the next day after school. We have not decided this as a team yet, but we got a lot of trainers now and they're all gung-ho. You're looking at Patrick right there. Nancy up north will join him too. And I'm there for you too. So if we have to divide one in half, they're 3 hours. We could do that after school if that works better. We'll talk to you about what you need. We'll try and help as much as we can. Anyone else?
Sean, I put those links to the grant further up, but I will have, let me see if I can do that again.
Well, thank you. I saw that. I was just wondering, will we have access to this to get to them later?
Yes, we'll be sending the slides to all of you who have joined with us today.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. We do want to, oh, Judy, did you have more?
Well, do they get chat? Because was that on a slide? The JOT form was on a slide?
You can send the links in the follow-up email.
Okay,
that we attach
thanks.
the,
There you
go. We'll figure it out.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us today and your attention. And we know that it's later in the afternoon for all of you and that you've had a long Monday, Tuesday after holiday weekend day. And so we appreciate you. Before we leave today, we would love for you to put into chat something that you are grateful for. That's something that we like to do as a team with our schools when we do trainings. And just love you to throw that into chat right now. And thanks again for being with us.
Awesome. Team, family, my IOP team, support system.
Nature, students.
Great team at my new school. Good luck in your new school. Good luck if it's an old school. Sunshine, yay. We're done with the smoke here.
Oh my gosh. It's horrible here. It's horrible here in Nampa, Idaho. Yesterday when I came home, there was smoke. You could see it blowing alongside as cars went by. That's how smoky it was.
Wow. Great fall weather, new team with a new year with new students. So thank you. If anybody needs to hang on, we'll hang on for a couple more minutes. If not, reach out to your regional coordinator and let them know if you have any questions about anything that we talked about today. Have a great year, you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Everyone.